Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 173 of the High Sensitivity Podcast, and thank you for listening. If it's your first time here, we talk about video game and movie news as well as we watched or played over the week. My name is Barry, and this podcast is 1 year closer to all being 30, along with my co hosts.
The birthday boy. My name's Craig. Trying to grasp any type of social life I have left as the big games are now coming out and the wave is coming.
My name is also Craig. I feel like it was a long time ago that I turned 30.
Yeah.
It was a lifetime ago.
Yeah, I'm not looking forward to it.
Yeah.
I mean, you just as it goes on, you just go, oh, it's not that bad. 40's not that bad, right?
Yeah. Get used to like rationalizing or either like rounding up or rounding down because I'm 35. That's what I did for the first 4 years of my 30s. I'm closer to 30 than I am to, old age.
Old age.
Fair enough. I'll probably be like, oh, I'm just 30. I'm 1 year out of the 20s, and then it's 31 and 32, all that fun stuff.
And then all of a sudden you're 35.
Yeah.
Yep, and then you're closer to 40. But
closer
what
to 40,
isn't
rounding
close to
up.
40 is the news this week.
That's true.
The news is spry. It's young with Gamescom's news.
There you go.
Well done.
So we'll get into that. Gamescom had a ton of different stuff, so I'm going to kind of just list off what I have, and then you guys can list off what you have, and maybe we just give a general assumption about what the big things were to us. We are getting more information on Destiny: The Final Shape. They're doing a whole season. This is the last DLC, blah, blah, blah. We then also have PlayStation Portal being priced at $200, along with the earbuds being priced at $200. The Pulse Elite, I was having a hard time finding the price for that. I think it's like $250. I know it's more expensive. We then have Avatar Frontiers of Pandora trailer, Mortal Kombat trailer, Phantom Liberty trailer that's releasing along with Cyberpunk 2.0 is what they're calling it. Hyperlight Breaker beta has been delayed. Stalker 2 trailer, and it's going to be released Q1 of 2024. And Persona 3 Reload trailer is what I had.
Okay.
Craig, why don't you go?
There was also Little Nightmares 3.
Yes.
We saw that with
tons
co-op,
of yes.
Which is cool, right? A lot of Tekken.
Yes.
If you're into Tekken 8, there was quite a few Tekken issues there. Was Gamescom when we saw the single player Call of Duty trailer? Like the campaign trailer? Or was this before?
No, they released it before.
Okay.
Oh, that was
I couldn't remember.
Okay.
I'm trying to think if there's any other ones that jumped out to me. No, not really. You got all the other ones. I have like the PlayStation Portal and like italics with that price.
Other than the ones you guys listed, I had Sonic Frontiers, The Final Horizon. It made me laugh because I immediately knew what happened at the end of Sonic Frontiers. Apparently, Dr. Robotnik is with you because they literally showed in the trailer you running up as pals with all your friends from Sonic. So I thought that made me laugh. I didn't play Sonic Frontiers, but I know that eventually you team up with him because he's clearly running into the next chapter with you. But
he legitimately turned Super Saiyan 2. Like
he also does.
Yeah.
He also does. Okay. That was quite funny. And then the other thing I had was a sneak peek of Diablo 4's Season of Blood, which I particularly like. October 17th is when it comes out. The vampiric nature is what I like. So I can't wait to kind of see more of that content, even though I haven't finished Diablo 4 yet.
Same. It's getting buried below all these games.
Oh, it's getting buried. I was looking at you, Barry, when
buried.
If I could briefly comment on Tekken 8, I had a question for you guys. All of these fighting games coming out this year, right? And we had a different conversation about Madden and sports games with having like a release every year, what the pricing should be like and things like that. And I had a like, not a revelation or anything because it's not anything new, but I was asking myself this, and I want to ask you gentlemen, should they have different tiers of fighting game prices? And what led me to this question is I looked at Tekken 8 and I had my list of characters that I wanted to see. I wanted to see Brian Fury. I wanted to see King. I wanted to see Huaneng. I wanted to see Law, Eddie Gordo, and Yoshimitsu.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw all of them, and I was really excited. But then I thought of the price, and I'm like, I'm just gonna play the first player version of this arcade mode. Let me play with all the different characters, get the ending like we used to get in these old fighting games. So the question is, should there be like a $30 or $40 non-online tiered purchase game mode that you can buy, and then regular price out the gate or day one be what the $69.99, $79.99 deluxe edition 99s are? Because for 40, I would buy Tekken 8. I would pre-order it right now.
Mm-hmm. I probably still
Not
wouldn't.
for 70. Yeah.
It gives me flashbacks of like, do you remember fighting games on like Super Nintendo and Sega Genesis? They were always like over $100
Mm-hmm.
for no reason.
For no reason.
They were always like the most expensive games to buy. It might be a good idea, but I don't know that. I feel like we're in the minority. We'll play a fighting game, but not online.
Yeah.
So I don't think they really think about us at all.
Yeah, it's a interesting question you pose. I never thought of like a fighting game doing that, but yeah, for me it would make sense. But again, Craig's right. We're the minority.
Yeah, and like that makes me wonder if there's like some little kid at home that's listening to this podcast being like, you're not in the minority. I feel that way too. Like I don't know. I don't know what those thousands or hundreds even might be a real minority of amount of people like are like, but I'll probably still buckle and buy it. Tekken, I feel a certain type of way about recently. I played more Tekken in the last decade and a half than I have Street Fighter, even though I kind of grew up with Street Fighter. So I don't know. It looks exciting though. It looks like an exciting game. They really kind of shout out to just fighting games this year. That should be like a whole like gaming awards, like everybody's standing ovation. you know.
Yeah, like, and while you're mentioning that, like with the Mortal Kombat trailer, I just am continuously impressed
Yeah.
by how this game looks and all it's trying to do. It was with an Outer World, Outlanders or Outer Worlders trailer with Sindel, and some other
Mhm.
fighters. Sindel's the only one I remember because she was primarily the one showing off like how she fought in the game, and it's really cool. It's fun, and I will probably watch more Mortal Kombat like this year just because I think the game looks so good.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
I'm not a fighting game guy. Like I'm not. It's just I'm not good at
Me
them.
neither.
Like even in arcade mode, like I'm bad at them. So it's like a matter of just I'm excited for everyone to see that, and I'm excited to see good players play this game.
I had one last question for you gentlemen. I know technically Tekken comes out next year, but if you and technically Street Fighter has a leg up because we have more footage of it. But if you had to guess what game you think would be, I don't know, the best or that you would find the most well received, I don't know where my question is going. It's a spontaneous one, but I guess I'm just trying to figure out what you think would be the best fighting game of the three. That's really all I'm asking. I should have just said it like that.
I think it's got to be Mortal Kombat at this point.
Yeah.
It's been the best out of the three for a couple of years now, and it's been the most popular, I think.
I would
Yeah.
say I don't know enough to kind of give an opinion, to be honest. Like I don't play Street Fighter. I used to play Tekken when I was younger, but I don't really play it now or anything
Yep.
like that. So
I don't. Yeah.
I withhold my judgment.
I almost
Just
have to
saying.
too, but I
Just saying.
asked the question, so
Yep.
I'm probably gonna say Mortal Kombat. I don't think Tekken's trailer showed enough content versus the two. I think Street Fighter or Mortal Kombat will have more content, but again, I don't know. Maybe we should revisit that in like January.
Yeah.
Maybe I shouldn't have asked it now. Sorry, guys. A little bit derail there.
All right, so some of the other stuff that I want to talk about then. We have the PlayStation Portal being announced at $200. The earbuds also being announced at $200. Not that I'm getting it, but $200 not terrible. Sorry,
No.
it's not really that bad. I think. This is a very niche device for someone, considering this has to be connected over Wi-Fi to your console, but this is for very specific, homes with one TV where people want to watch football, for example, and the kid wants to play PS5. You can can get him the Portal, and he can play his PS5 on that screen without really taking up the TV. Like, it's very niche, but I thought it was going to be a lot worse. I'll be honest. I thought it was going to
Yeah.
be like 300.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
reasonable.
My issue is, one, we don't know the battery life yet.
Yeah.
And the other thing that jumped out to me that almost made me a little angry is I was watching like IGN had like a big old like deep dive into it. And I was like, oh, $200 isn't bad. That's fair. It doesn't have Bluetooth. So not only like, so basically, if you want to use headphones, you got to use Sony's.
Okay.
Because the new Sony headphones that they're selling for $200 have a proprietary software that connects to the PlayStation Portal. The PlayStation Portal does not have Bluetooth, so if you want to use your AirPods or whatever, it's not going to happen. So either you're playing this thing with the built-in speakers, which I'm sure aren't great, or you're also spending another $200 on these headphones as well. So it's
Interesting. I didn't know that, yeah.
$400 at that point. I think there's also, I don't know about the older PlayStation headset, the one that came out with the PS5. I don't know if that one connects. Maybe that one does.
Hopefully it does. Maybe it
Hopefully.
gets an update or something like
Yeah.
that. But
Right. But it just seems so odd for them to do that. To be like, oh, you can't use Bluetooth headsets at all. Which in my mind, like, I'm not going to spend $200 and then another $200 on earbuds just to play this thing when I can just play it on my TV.
Yeah, and a lot of us are already quite happy with whatever earphone headphone set that we have right now. It's just like, it's just buying yet another set, you know, just to be able to do that. So it becomes a little bit more, I guess, taxing or a little bit more committal than I would want monetarily and everything else, you know.
Yeah. And you have to weigh, if you're buying this for $200 and also the $200 earbuds, how often are you going to use this thing to justify $400?
Steam Deck question. It's the Steam Deck question.
And Steam Deck's different though, because at least you can do more on it. This, like, it's literally turning your PlayStation 5 on. Mm-hmm. So like if somebody else were to start playing on your PS5, you can't play on your Portal.
No.
It's just, I don't know.
I will say too, the Pulse Elite is $150.
Okay.
So, okay. A little bit cheaper better than the earbuds.
Yeah.
I'm not sure really why the earbuds are more expensive, but regardless.
Right.
Yeah, and this stuff is all coming out, I think, September. If I remember correctly, I'm trying to find the date. You guys might have to bide some time until I get the date.
I will say, for me, this is a hard pass. I just don't see any reason for me to have this thing in my house. I just don't.
There's not. I'm even trying to like say, are there times where I would want to watch football so much on my television that I would spend $200, let's say like week 5, so that I could play certain games on the PlayStation. I can't put my head around it and making that choice. I don't know. I can't. Maybe for my wife. I don't know.
And I also look at it as like, anytime I've wanted to do that, like Xbox wise, I can just use my iPad or my phone and connect my Elite controller or any Xbox controller, Bluetooth, and just go to town. Whereas this is like, I don't know.
I don't know. Then it goes big
and
screen.
$200, you can buy a Switch for $199.
Yeah.
The same price.
And that thing's ready to go.
And that thing's ready to go.
Yep. You can use that wherever you want, Wi-Fi or not.
Mid-November.
Okay.
No specific date yet. Yeah, mid to late November is what they said.
I'm curious to see how it does. Holidays.
Yeah.
I really am.
Holidays, new hardware. For whatever reason.
Also, what are you playing on that? Like around that time, if you're going to buy that for somebody, what game are you buying? Like, what games do they already have, or are you buying with that? Are they playing Spider-Man 2 on that?
It's got to be Spider-Man, yeah.
Because you're going to have a large...
Yeah, what if you played Madden while you're watching NFL football on Sundays?
There's something.
There's footballception.
There's something.
I also think that with this Spider-Man being like on PS5 and everything like that, I also think you will have an influx of kids who are getting PlayStations that the parents are going to be like, "Oh, you mean I don't have to have my kid take up my TV to do this? Then here you go.
Yeah, that's huge.
I'll grab the
Yeah.
portal or something like that." So that's a thought.
Shout out to Craig and all the
Absolutely.
parents.
My kid doesn't play PlayStation at all, so I'm
Oh, there you
safe
go.
there.
There you go.
So I guess the next big one here I'll talk about is Phantom Liberty being the last expansion until Cyberpunk 2. They're putting a lot behind Phantom Liberty. I have to admit, I'm sort of interested. Phantom Liberty comes out September 26th here. I'm actually sort of interested, and I might just
Same.
reinstall Cyberpunk.
How much
just
is it?
to, just to see. I think all
I-
good,
Is
all
it
good
40?
questions. All good
Isn't-
questions here is what I'm hearing.
Why do I think that if you purchase the original game, it's either not as expensive or it's free? Maybe I heard that wrong.
I don't think it's free.
Yeah, it just says here confirmed per let's see here.
We're deep diving into this.
Yeah.
Phantom Liberty price $29.99.
Okay.
Okay.
And apparently it's bundled with the you buy this DLC, you will also get version 2.0 of Cyberpunk.
Okay.
So
Okay.
I wonder if it's almost like not even worth it to like restart a playthrough or something like that until you get this version 2.0 of Cyberpunk.
Right.
I'm again interested. They've mentioned that you're gonna get like a new district, a lot of new story quests, combat with vehicle, revamped police system, overhaul of the AI, endless dynamic events and missions, kind of like in Spider-Man or I imagine like GTA, where certain random things can go on that you can interact with. Redesigned cyberware and perks, all new relic skill tree and abilities, increased level cap, and 100 plus new items, cyberware, and fashion.
They have
Seems like a
really
lot.
stepped it up. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's No Man's Sky territory now with the amount
Do
of
I
love it's
still
gotten.
care though? Is the real question.
I'm gonna do it because Idris Elba.
Okay.
Of course. Man, so handsome. Barry, because you're interested in it, I found myself slightly interested in it as well. Is this the game that we utilize for the next lull time in gaming? So definitely not
lull?
between. Well, no, I mean like a next. I don't know, a next year game. Let's say that
Okay.
all of the games that we're trying to finish this year take us into December, which they tend to do a lot.
Mhm.
Is this is the game I'm gonna play and finish all the way through game when we have like that 2-month dry spell somewhere in the year like we always do.
Like Red Dead that we
Yeah,
didn't do?
Yeah,
with
but
better results.
Yeah, but Red Dead's boring. Like I have to say
Yeah.
that too. Like
Yeah.
Red Dead is boring, and like Cyberpunk, at least like the beginning is not boring.
It's
No.
not. No,
I like
they
that
jump
game.
you. Yeah, it's great.
So do I. So I think you might be right. I think it may be one of those things though that I actually finish. Whereas Red Dead, I just kind of want to. I just want to go to sleep every time I play it. It's a sleepy time.
Yes.
Yep. Agreed.
Let's see here. Destiny with the final shape trailer coming out with seasons and everything like that. Big moment for Bungie here, just because it seems to be the last DLC that they're doing for Destiny 2. I can't imagine. Well, I guess like Pokemon has kind of done the same thing, but at least Pokemon releases revamps of new games and things like that, where Destiny has been the same game for 7 years now. Is that how long it's been since Destiny 2 came out? Damn.
Destiny 2 came out on Xbox One and PS4.
Yeah.
Wow.
Right? Yeah, Destiny 2.
Yeah.
Destiny 1 came out on 360 and PS3.
Yeah. No, it's insane. It really
Mhm.
is. Not that I'm interested in it. I'm not. I don't really care. I'll be honest.
Mhm.
Like looter shooters, I do have a hard time getting into. Like that's just something that doesn't appeal to me as well. But so be it. Avatar Frontiers of Pandora trailer. I'm not sure if you guys watched this. I wasn't really sold on it. I do think it looks a lot better than the previous trailer that they showed off. The game looks better. I have a bunch of friends who are getting this because they're Pandora heads or whatever they call themselves.
I have never
Avatar?
met one of those in person, ever. Like somebody so obsessed with Avatar.
I'll probably get it because I want to try it, I guess.
Yeah. Craig, in 2010, I met a couple
Okay.
when Avatar
Yeah.
first came out, or was it 9 that it came out? I don't
Mm-hmm.
know. I wasn't in my 30s when it came out. You know what I mean?
Fair.
So,
Fair.
but I don't know about anybody who's like obsessed with, actually maybe one, maybe. I don't know. But yeah, Barry, go nuts, man.
Go nuts
I'll be
indeed.
passing up on that.
Yeah. Same.
Persona 3 trailer reload. I am very
Yes.
excited for Persona 3.
Yes.
It looks to be a good jumping in point to Persona, just because it's really hard to play Persona 3 like now, because it's different from all of the other Persona 4 and 5s that everybody has played and gotten really used to. So Persona 3, I'm all for it.
Same.
Just bring it sooner. That'd be cool. Because that game's going to take up like all of my time again.
Yep.
But I'll let you guys talk about some of the games if you guys have anything you want to talk about.
They announced a Dark Forces remaster, and that got me excited.
Okay.
That was like one of the first games I played on PlayStation 1. And I was like, I'm still a big Star Wars fan, but back then I was like massive Star Wars fan. And the fact that it was like, this is like a Doom or a Wolfenstein, but it's Star Wars was so cool to me. So this is something that like I'll probably end up picking up physically if they release it physically. I'm assuming they will, just to have it. Like I have it on my PC, and I've actually played it not too long ago. But it seems like they updated the controls, which it desperately needed. Updated the cutscenes a little bit. It's not a great looking game, obviously, because it's so old, but it has a very special place in my heart. So I was pumped when I saw that. That and just Little Nightmares. I mean, I love the first two. I will play through a million of these if you want to keep throwing them at me. The idea of being able to play co-op sounds cool, though.
Yeah, it does.
You think
It's
it'd be something
essential.
you get to play with your daughter?
Um, I don't know. She might. She watched me play the second one, so she might be interested in playing the third one.
I'm calling it creepy. It takes two.
Yeah,
That's already what my wife and I are calling it when we saw
yeah,
that trailer. Like it's co-op. It looks like there's going to have a lot of teamwork, or at least a little bit of teamwork involved. I mean, even when you have the AI controlled character, there's teamwork involved in the other Little Nightmare, or
yeah.
Little Nightmares too. But super excited for that. They could make 10 of those in the next decade, and I'll play every single one. The first one and the second one were fantastic in their own
Agreed.
right.
Agreed. The last thing out of Gamescom, this technically counts as a game, is the price for the Time Crisis arcade one up.
Yeah.
Oh, what is it? I missed that.
$7.49.
Okay.
I know I said I didn't have a price cap, but $7.49 is, oh boy, that's a lot. Now, I mean, to be fair, they broke it down, and I was looking at it. I was like, all right, I get Time Crisis, I get Point Blank. I love both those games. The guns have that kickback recoil that they had in arcades, and they're giving you the metal pedal on the bottom, so hopefully it stands up better over time. Um, it's like my, if not my favorite arcade game of all time, one of them, top five. But 750. Whew. I feel like you could do some digging probably and find the original for that price
Yeah.
somewhere.
Mhm.
Um, I don't know. I'm still up in the air on it. I know pre-orders are up right now. I have a feeling that if you don't follow Arcade One Up, like they hyped up NFL Blitz when that one came out, and
Mhm.
then nobody bought it, and they had to heavily discount it because it was 600, and
Mm-hmm.
everybody was like, "I'm not paying $600 for NFL Blitz." I feel like they might have the same situation on their hands where they're overestimating the amount of money people are willing to pay for this. I think like normal price should be $499, $399. I think 600 would have been fair for this because of the peripherals, but I think they're getting a little greedy here.
It's a lot.
Yeah,
It's a lot.
Yeah. It's
750
That's an
yeah.
expensive metal pedal.
for real, and the guns are plastic.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, and it's I think it's a 17-inch monitor. I think so. It's not like it's a huge monitor, which you want a big one for a shooter.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'll have to keep everybody updated. As of now, I think I'm leaning more towards holding off and hoping that it drops in price. maybe they clearance it out down the road and I could pick it up for 500,
Mm-hmm.
then I would be all over that.
Yeah, I don't blame
Yeah,
you.
those are the ones I marked down.
All right, I had two small ones. Well, they're not, I guess, small in the amount that I'm going to talk about them because you guys went over a lot of the bigger ones that I was thinking. But Nightingale, I'm going to have my eye on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Victorian fantasy survival game. I'm just gonna have my eye on it. That's all I wanted to say. Alan Wake 2, a little bit more of Alan Wake esque
Mm-hmm.
portion because we got to see his the I don't want to say sidekick, but the person that you're also going to be playing as besides him. So it was really nice to see more stuff there. Not that we really need to be sold on it more, but it is always nice, more Alan Wake I'll take. And then I just thought that it was funny that they had a Killing Floor 3 coming out.
Yeah.
I kind of laughed to myself because it reminded me apparently my gamer memory left like I left that book at home or something. I forgot I put like 30 or 40 hours into Killing Floor 2 with some friends. Like it's just I don't know, you don't
Yeah.
remember that game like you remember other games in terms of impact, but I thought it was interesting, Killing Floor 3 looks like they have some type of cybernetic where they're going to take zombies and attach metal limbs to them and such like that. It looks good, but I mean, I didn't see too much gameplay, but I think it's funny that they're making another one. I just wanted to throw that out there as well.
I think the
Yeah.
second one's on Game Pass.
Yes,
still.
it is. Yeah, it was at one point for sure.
Yeah, they're good games.
It's a good time. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess just some of the other stuff that I'm looking here. Grand Blue Fantasy Relink is getting a release date. This is a very popular gacha game in Japan. Franchise is getting, I want to call it like a Tales of Arise type of RPG coming out. Comes out February 1st of
Okay.
2024. I'm very excited for that. Tales of Arise is anime right up my. It's right up there for me. Definitely is big for me. Bulletstorm VR I thought was pretty interesting as well.
That'd be cool.
It's because it's coming out December 14th. So I'm probably going to try that just for the sake of who would have thought a Cliffy B game would, make me excited again in 2020.
That actually sounds really fun though in
Yeah, it
VR.
does.
I guess my thing will be the motion sickness. That'll definitely be my
That's a fast game.
Yeah.
I think anything else. The like I don't know what it was this one, but there's like a ton of weird anime games. Zenless
course.
Zone Zero is a gotcha game from Hoyoverse. There's
That's not a title.
There's Mugen Project, which is a anime inspired Spider-Man. It seems like you're swinging.
Oh my god!
The
Here
trailer
for it.
was the character swinging around the city. You're riding around in a bike like GTA. I don't know.
Here for it.
I don't know if I'm for it, but it's interesting.
Do you see Barry kind of like? Do you see Barry kind of announce that like he nonchalantly? Apparently, there's some like a couple of anime games.
I mean, I pre-ordered it, but whatever. We'll see. Got
I'm
the
not that
collector's
excited.
edition,
Yeah, I'm
$200
not that-
collector's
yeah.
edition.
Yeah.
I just want an anime statue. You guys wouldn't get it. But then some of the stuff not from Gamescom, from my end of things, is Leaker of Starfield is facing felony charges. We then also have Armored Core 6 getting review bombed. I think, it's those two. Yeah, those are the two that I think that I have there. For the most part, Armored Core 6 getting review bombed. Everybody's kind of mad because one, it's kind of like the lock-on system. They made it like easier for people to get into, which we'll talk about Armored Core, of course.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just a matter of, again, People's Strike is like, oh, the game's too hard. Game's way too hard. This is way harder than Elden Ring sort of stuff. And it's like, you guys know who's making these games, right? Like, this is. What else do you guys expect? Why are we review bombing Armored Core 6 for staying true to what the franchise originally held, and also like the developer makes these types of games? It's Gundam Souls-like.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's staying true to form, but we can wait on that.
Okay,
It's also not. It's also not harder than Elden Ring. It's not.
No, I don't think so.
It's not. No way.
And then Starfield, got leaked, and the 29-year-old is now facing felony charges. I always find that stuff funny. I
Yeah.
how does he get a hold of the game? Like
Yep.
it's one of those things that we'll probably eventually find out
Mm-hmm.
once like court charges and everything like that come out. But he had like 46 copies, and he was an idiot enough to like. It's what you could have just like hit offline and played Starfield early, and then just gone on your merry way. But you had to release a 29-minute video of everything about it. So
Gotta get that internet fame.
yeah,
Yeah.
the 5 seconds of internet fame, and then it just goes away. Like people don't
Yep.
realize that like the fame is very temporary when you do this type of stuff.
Well,
True.
like what adds insult to injury is he got even more viral by not just the footage that he was showing, but the fact that he wasn't good at it either. People were like making fun of his skill, so that was helping
Mhm.
spread the word as well. People were like, oh, look at this guy.
I
Can't
think
even.
he was selling copies too, wasn't he?
He
He
was.
was, yeah.
And
He
that's
was
what got him in
preparing
trouble.
to or
Yeah.
doing it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he had it said he had like 46 copies of the game apparently. So
So you think he worked at like a retailer or a shipping distributor, maybe,
I,
if he had copies to sell?
it sounded like he stole them from like a distributor,
Okay.
like a retail distributor, supply chain distributor.
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
Right. Okay. Interesting. Well, enjoy the, I don't know if jail time, but enjoy the fines
yeah.
that you're inevitably going to have to pay.
And not fully playing Starfield. Well, actually, he can get it done before the end.
Yeah, he'll
Probably.
be fine.
But
Um,
anything else you guys want to talk about news wise?
yeah, I just have like some short ones. I guess this technically ties into Gamescom. I think it was afterwards, but Xbox says they're planning to ship 4 first party games a year. To which I say, which ones?
Yeah,
Oh, what do you have next year? That's 4. I guess technically you could count. I don't know what they're counting. Like Starfield is a first party, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
But that's
D-
this year, yeah.
Right. Like is a Lies of P considered a first party for them?
No, it can't be.
I don't
No,
think so. Like
it's
I
not.
think a first party, and I think like Gears of War, Halo, Forza, like that's first party to me.
Yeah, we have Forza and Starfield. Those are
Hmm.
the two that I know
This
for
year,
sure.
they're
Yeah,
talking about
This year.
next year, starting next year, at least 4 every year. I Okay,
yeah,
we'll see. And then also, Night Dive Studio, we're hinting at a remake of The Darkness. I don't know if you ever played that game. I love The Darkness 1 and 2. That was like 360 era.
Okay.
Those games were great. So if they could do a remake of that, that would be fantastic. I will pick that up in a heartbeat. Um, and then the last thing I just kind of wanted to mention because it was a big deal in my circle. I don't know about everybody's circle, but I just wanted to bring up Wyndham Rotunda,
yeah,
Bray Wyatt from the WWE, the Fiend,
Mhm.
passed away this week in his sleep. Um, that was sudden. It hits hard for me because he was 36.
Yeah.
That's young. He has kids, and he's been out for a while with heart issues, and apparently that's what it was.
Oh,
But
jeez.
yeah, it's just like that came out of nowhere, and that's a tough one. Like uh, when I first started getting back into watching wrestling in 2019, it was because of the stuff he was doing, and I was like, "What is this crazy? Like it looked like a kid show." And I was like, "What is going on? What is the Fiend?" And that's what brought me back in. So yeah, like I mean, I feel bad for his wife, his kids. His kids are all
Yeah.
young. It's way too early to die. So I don't know. That was a tough one for me this week. I just wanted to make sure we brought it up.
Yeah. Thank you for bringing that up, man. Condolences
Mm-hmm.
to the family and all that. That's terrible. That's super young.
Mm-hmm.
yeah. Did they say whether or not it was a pre-existing
Yeah.
condition, or was it?
So he had COVID like a year ago or so, and it damaged his heart.
Okay,
So he was at risk of cardiac arrest, and he had a external defibrillator, I guess, that the doctors prescribed to him, and I think he was supposed to keep it on him at all times, and he didn't have it on him, and he basically just went to take a nap and didn't wake up. So it was like a long-standing condition that had happened because of COVID, and he had came back and he was wrestling again, and then he was out because of his heart, and I think he was getting ready to come back again, but it didn't happen. So yeah, it was a wild like last year and a half, I think, for him.
That's insane, man. And I
Mhm.
know
Yeah,
we're not a COVID podcast, but like that's scary to see some like long
Yeah.
term,
Hmm.
inevitably ending in his death. That's insane.
yeah.
Yeah.
There are some people I went to high school with that, like, once they got COVID, like they have these long conditions now.
Right.
Like, their hearts just aren't the same anymore. So
Yep.
it's hard to believe we're still affected by these effects of COVID-19. But this was the whole
Yeah,
reason that, we try to take it as seriously as we did, because there are
Yep.
people we know and care about that are dying from it far too early.
Yep.
agreed.
Exactly. But that was all the news I had.
I mean, besides Gamescom, the big one I had was I also found the Starfield leaker funny, so I had that story. So like, I'm good on news. I I'm glad you talked about it, Barry. I was
Yeah,
hoping one of us would bring that idiot up.
yeah. We then have games this week, which for
Yeah.
games this week, I played Armored Core 6 Fires of Rubicon, and I played way too much of a Vampire Survivors clone called HoloCure.
Okay.
Yes.
Save the fans.
I also have Armor Core 6. I tried HoloCure right before the podcast started because Barry wouldn't shut up about it. Um, and then if we go call back to when we all picked our games for this year, the first game on my list came out this week, Immortals of Avium. And
Oh yeah.
I played through that whole thing. I finished it.
What?
So I have that. And it's right now in the possession of Barry to play as well.
Fantastic.
I wanted to get my opinions on it, but I've been
Yeah.
having issues for whatever reason. I'll try to figure
Yep.
them out.
I know you're gonna get into it. How many hours, just real quick, Craig, before I say
For
my game?
Immortals,
Yeah.
like 6 to 10.
Okay.
It's short.
Gotcha. Um, I was playing a crap ton of Baldur's Gate, but I did stop to do some Armored Core 6, so I have my
Oh,
opinions as well.
you're not returning it then? You're keeping it?
No, I don't know what I was thinking.
That's fair.
I was emotional last week. I just said some things. I take it back.
All right, that's fair.
All right, so we'll talk before we all get like into the discussion of Armored Core. I'll talk about HoloCure because why not? I randomly found this game on my birthday. I was on Twitch, and some person I watched was playing it. I downloaded it because it's free. It is a anime as hell version of Vampire Survivors, and I
Yeah,
like
it
it.
is.
It is kind of the whole point of it is it's a free game that's meant to poke fun at gotcha games in a way, but also like be a Vampire Survivors clone, where each one of these VTubers whose likenesses are on Twitch and other streaming platforms that you could watch, it's just like you take control of them and they beat up a bunch of monsters, and you either have to survive the time limit, beat the boss, or you can play endless mode, much like Vampire
Hmm.
Survivors. I'll try not
Mhm.
to go too much into the specifics because once I say a Vampire Survivors, I feel like people should know what the
Yeah.
game is. But 8-bit music, the music is pretty addicting. It's got a fun beat laid behind it. I was just really surprised at how much I liked this game, kind of like the same surprise that Vampire Survivors was when it came out.
Yep.
But you put Vampire Survivors and anime together, and it's like, yeah, this is bad. This is a Barry game. What else?
It's
There,
very game.
this was made specifically for me and no one else, obviously. So,
Yeah, I
but
think like
overall,
we
like,
we both like Vampire Survivors.
yeah.
So like that was I mean I played like one round. And I think it's really good. They could have charged money for this.
Yeah, I
And the
would have paid
fact
money for it.
yeah. Like I think Vampire Survivors is like $5. They could have charged $5 and I would have been happy to pay it. It feels good, it controls good, the music's cool. I don't know who any of the VTubers are on there. But it seems like it has a pretty healthy roster to choose from.
Yeah, and
I think you start with like 4 or 5,
wildly,
right?
yep,
Yeah.
wildly different abilities too.
Okay. I don't know why, but for some reason I was looking at it, I was like, I feel like this game's gonna get weird at some point. Maybe it doesn't. It just kind of gave me that vibe that like maybe if I play it for long enough, some weird things are gonna happen, but maybe not.
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't played it for that long either. But if you're looking for an anime Vampire Survivors, HoloCure is your game, and it's free. Um,
Yeah.
I don't know if they're gonna take it down because in the beginning it does say it is a fan game. with likenesses that are owned by the people who own the icons for the VTubers, blah blah blah. Bunch of legal talk. I just don't know whether or not maybe that's why he can't sell it for money,
Oh,
because
maybe.
if he makes a profit off of their likeness, they probably take him down or sue the
Oh, they would be
game.
all over that. Yeah.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
so maybe that's why. But regardless, it is a fun.
Play it
It
while
is
you
a fun
can.
game. Yeah, limited time only.
Free for a limited time.
Yeah.
Give us the Immortals. Show
Okay.
us Immortals.
Yeah. So this was my first pick for the games this year. I think it was
1-1.
one of the ones that I was like, this could hurt me, but also I was trying to go out on a limb this year and pick some crazy ones. So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna take Immortals. Um, I will say that like reviews are pretty positive on this game. I think a lot of people are getting upset over the fact that you see EA on the front of it, but you also have to stress that it's a small third party developer that's getting published by EA under, I forget what EA calls it, but I think it's the same way they published It Takes Two. It's like that division of
Okay.
like we're going to help out these smaller developers. Um, I will say the beginning, the first mission, doesn't do a good job of selling you on the game. I was kind of like, but the more I played it, the more I liked it. It is a straightforward, semi open world. We'll say it's levels. You're playing levels, but you can kind of go to these areas where you can fast travel to different locations. So it is all one world, but it's more of a kind of reminds me of Doom, like the newer Doom. Once you start getting all your powers, at first it's a little overwhelming, but once you get them all and you start getting comfortable, you're like flying around and throwing all types of spells, and it feels really good. The first thing I thought of when I was playing it was this is what Forspoken should have been, and
Yeah,
what I wanted Forspoken to be. The
Mm.
writing is good. It has some good humor. The voice acting's phenomenal. Um, I think I'm gonna put the music in my like top music for the year. I don't know
oh,
why.
okay.
It kind of hit me that way. Like you start playing some different areas and it's got like this beat behind it, and you're just like you're grooving and you're like bobbing your head and killing a million people, and you're like, yeah, it's how you feel playing Doom. You
Yeah.
know, like it's that Doom feeling. Except Doom is like heavy metal. This is more just kind of like a bass heavy type of music, but I really, really like it. It might sneak into my top 10 this year, actually.
Okay.
It's a nice short game. If you really want to dive in, once you beat the game, they have these hidden areas you can go to with like challenge rooms, kind of like a God of War, and some of those are super tough boss
Okay.
side bosses. So if you really want to dive into this, you could probably spend over 20 hours trying to get all these side bosses done, upgrading your equipment. You have three different style of spells that you get different upgrades for that attach to your arm. You have rings, and you also have a skill tree. It's just enough, in my opinion, to not be overwhelming, but allow you to play how you really want to play. If you're like, hey, the green is like your SMG, lower damage but shoots fast. Your red's your shotgun, and then your blue is like your assault rifle, slower fire. But within those, like the blue has like a here's an assault rifle, and then there's one where like, hey, you only get one shot, and then you have to reload, but it's super high damage, so it's a sniper rifle. All that kind of stuff is there, and it just works insanely well. I don't think it has any business being as good as it is. And I would highly recommend everybody play it if you can find it physically. Good
Yeah,
luck. Probably just buy it digitally, I guess, huh?
yeah. It feels
I
like it's the
guess.
same thing with like Octopath Travelers
Yep.
when that came out. I think, or it was one. It was one really, but you kind of underestimate the popularity of your game, and
Yep.
then it reviews well, and people want to buy it, but you can't get it because it's not as good.
It almost feels like EA wasn't sure.
Yeah.
If they're like, hey, we'll publish this for you, but we're not sold on it, so we're gonna do 500,000 copies or something, um, and then rely on digital. But I hope that people play it, and I hope this developer gets more chances, like sequels or even just other styles of games, because it's nice to have something different out there.
Yeah.
for
Agreed.
sure.
All right. Because we've each got kind of like a little bit of time, I'll let you, Craig. You're going to start off with Armored Core.
Mm-hmm.
Who, me?
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
you.
Oh, like I'm so excited. Um, so I like it. That's the first thing I'm gonna say in the
Asterisk.
definitive name. Yeah, there's an asterisk.
Mm-hmm.
So I do like the challenge. I texted you guys when I had the classic, like, how do I beat this first boss moment. It wasn't that hard to figure it out after. I just
Mm-hmm.
was staying like I enjoy that challenge. So they have the opening credits and such, and you're doing these missions, and they none of them were really outlandishly hard to me. And then they kind of just like throw this first boss at you in the form of like a really souped up chopper. Um, and I realized that all I really had to do was just kind of get closer to it instead of trying to stay far away and shooting off the stuff that I had in my arsenal. I enjoy the challenge. I like the fast paced portion of it. They highly encourage staying on your, I was going to say staying on your feet, but staying on your thrusters, I guess,
Yeah.
you know, essentially. So I really like that. Um, the environments are varied to me. I'm not seeing any type of difference that makes me go like, oh my gosh, what's this kind of area? Um, the only other gripe that I have with it is the what I'm going to call jankiness, and it's specifically the layout, the separate mission aspect of it. I played one mission and it was like 2 seconds in gaming time, and then I played another mission which was a little bit longer. They all kind of seem to be around 5 to 20 minutes depending on your skill level. But every time I'm like in a groove, the mission's over. And then I go back and then I upgrade, I buy, and then I go back into another one. Like that's kind of the only issue I have with it. I would have loved, and I don't know how they could have done this because I don't know the challenge of creating a game, but I would have loved a more continuous Armored Core progression in terms of what I'm doing.
Like
I don't know if
Elden
that
Ring.
makes sense. I'm trying to be as eloquent as I can about it. Um, but it looks great.
Mm-hmm.
From what I have enough variety in the enemies in what I see. And the bosses are cool, definitely. But like that's kind of where I stand currently, not having beaten the game. That's my overview.
Fair. All right. So my take on Armor Core is it looks pretty. I agree with you, Craig, that I'm not a big fan of like the mission layout. I would preferred just to kind of like flow from one to the other. But I think that first boss, the chopper, was insanely bad, like
Oh,
absolutely terrible. And I know like it's pretty controversial. If you look online, there's people are being like, I refunded the game from Sony because this game's trash. I can't beat this boss. It's not that the boss isn't beatable. I think it's weird to me that they throw you into this boss and then after you beat it, you get the tutorial missions. Is very weird to me. And I was having a tough time. Like I knew the first couple times I'm trying to hit it with the lock on missiles, I'm shooting it with my machine gun. I was like, there is no way this thing has this much health. And every time I get hit, I get like half my health gone. So in my mind, like that's how I always played Armor Core, like sliding around, hitting with the missile. So I was like, okay, there's never been an emphasis on melee, but it's pretty obvious they want you to melee here. So I go up and do the melee, and I'm like, okay, this is taking big chunks of damage. It's stun locking him. This is what we need. But I continuously had fight after fight where I would hit him a couple times melee, and then he would go out of bounds. So I couldn't melee him anymore. And this is like such a, in my opinion, a poorly laid out first boss. And I know From Software likes to do the like, here's the first boss. If you can't beat it, tough. Don't play our game. I get that, but like this isn't a Souls game. This is Armor Core.
mm-hmm.
This is a completely different thing. And you can have hard bosses. I have no problem with that. But I just I almost take issue with them trying to treat it that way of like they spend all this time being like, this isn't a Souls game. We're going back to our roots and doing Armored Core, and then they're like, you can't beat this, you suck, why don't you just uninstall the game. And I did beat it after, I think it took me like 8 or 9 tries before I eventually, like, the time I beat it, I bet you I beat that in like under 2 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
It was so quick, just like fly up, melee twice, drop, fly up, melee twice, and he was dead. And I was like, oh, okay, well, that's how it should have been once you figure out that you need to melee. But the fact that he kept flying out of bounds was like pissing me off.
Yeah.
But besides that, like, I think the game's fine. um I don't think it's going to end up in my top 10 as of right now. I think, like, me personally, having just played Immortals of Avium, I'm like, I'd rather play that. But Immortals doesn't look as good as Armored Core does. So I like what they're doing, but I'm kind of like on the fence. I feel like this is like a 7 out of 10 game, 6 out of 10 maybe. Is that, maybe that's too harsh? 6 out of 10 might be too low. I
I'd
don't
say
know.
7 or 8.
Yeah. What do you think, Barry?
I like the game.
Okay.
For me, like for me, it's a Gundam, and I like
Yeah.
being the pilot of a Gundam. I wish they would just make Gundam instead of Armored Core, but that's beside the point. You guys haven't gotten to the end of Act 1 yet, have you?
No,
I can guarantee you I haven't.
Okay, that boss will infuriate.
I've heard it's rough.
Yeah,
it is rough. Like that. I didn't have a problem with the first level. Don't mean to brag, but I didn't. But you guys are right. Like, the missions for me, like, there are some that are 5 minutes long. Like, you go in, you clear out an area. Okay, pilot, you're done. Get out. And I'm like, why? Why was that a mission?
Yeah.
Why is this 5-minute thing telling me to be a mission? And I get that. In a way, it's trying, like, Armored Core. This one is kind of stuck with telling you the story via all of these, like, mission debriefs is pretty much how you're going to get the story. Or the story also comes through, like, the pilots talking to each other while you're trying to shoot stuff, and there's a ton of explosions going on, so you have no idea what they're saying, or you can't hear what they're saying. So It's a little difficult to keep up with the story. The missions I do, like, I just don't know why you would waste my time with, like, a 5-minute mission and stuff like that. But, like, overall, I do enjoy I do enjoy the tinkering part of Armored Core. I like, I don't mind failing my first mission or failing a mission at some point and then going, okay, like, I don't have the tools equipped and correct for this. Let me sell off my tools, which this is like one of the games where selling your tool actually kind of gives you some of your money back. Like, I feel like usually when you buy something,
surprisingly,
yeah, selling it, it's like sold at a very heavy, like, disc. What you don't buy it back or you don't sell it for nearly as much as you bought it. I don't find that the case too much in this game, but like, overall, I like the tinkering bit. I do admit the tutorial stuff would have been nicer to have earlier in the game, just like, here's a training program before you go out to do this first mission, sort of thing that you can do. Just because then after that first mission, you get the training modules, and they're kind of shown to you little by little. And I really don't get the point of doing all that, because the training modules, like, teach you about different weapons and everything like that, and different AC unit types, where once you're kind of stuck in one, you kind of know what you want to do. And I know that I'll have to, like, change it eventually, but, game's pretty, lots of explosions. It's a Gundam, and for me, I enjoy that a decent amount. So.
Yeah. There's one thing I want to clear up. That's not, the mission thing is not something that anybody on this podcast is against, because if I can let you remind us all of a game that does it well, Neo.
Yep.
Neo is mission specific, but the missions are, I don't know, depending on difficulty level, anywhere from 20 minutes to 45 to maybe an hour. I don't know, depending on how many times you die. There are games that are doing the mission thing correctly. It's just something about some of these timed missions where I get the momentum and I want to play it more.
Yeah.
And then debrief. And then I'm just kind of sitting back and I'm listening to the story, kind of, to be honest. I'll be completely candid with y'all. Kind of listening to the story in the debrief.
It's not important.
and then I just like select another one randomly, especially when they give you a choice of which one to do first. Kill an extra amount of these mechs, you get more money. I'm like, cool, that's why I'm playing the game, to kill more mechs and
Mm-hmm.
destroy more things. So sure, give me more money for it. Like I just think that I would have more of it done. I would have Act 1 done by this podcast because I got it when it was supposed to come out, which is something we can't say for every game that all of us pre-order.
Yep.
I got it Friday, and still, I'm like, there's something keeping me from playing it an exorbitant amount to try to finish it before Starfield and all the other ones do come out.
Yep.
So like for that, I'm kind of with you, Craig. 6 or 7, maybe an 8 as I play more. But like that's my only gripe with it. And I love From Software, but that's my only gripe.
I mean, I feel like I could hit one of those bosses you're talking about, Barry, that's like insanely difficult. And like at the rate I'm playing it, like I'm going to be playing that. I'm going to hit that boss. I'm going to look and be like, Starfield's out, and then never pick it up again, you know?
You are not wrong. Like the
Yeah.
main thing here is like, and here's just a little tip for anybody. The restart checkpoint system is very kind. Like it gives
Mhm.
you, your repair units back, fills up your health and everything like that. But if you're ill-equipped for a mission and you have to go out of the mission, you have to restart. Like you don't get to start from that checkpoint. So when it comes to this, like the second major boss that you guys will face, like there is a mini boss for all intents and purposes, and it's armored core, so he's kind of difficult. So in the end, like for me, I probably struggled with with the second boss a bit more than I wanted to because I refused to go back and change out my entire armor and change out my entire AC unit to better suit this fight. So that's where for me, I wasn't going to bite the bullet and restart because then I have to replay that mini boss, and then I have to hope that I'm also that I can also the new unit I decide to build is now also good enough to handle the boss. So
Got it.
I just stuck with it, I guess, and I did it.
And also, I have like this irrational, not hate, but every armor core I play, I love to like zip around super fast. So the idea of building this tank mech that's slow and heavy damage, I don't want to do it. And I
Mm-hmm.
know I'm going to have to at some point, but I just have no desire. Like, let me be the fast, agile one. That's what armor core is to me. I don't want to be a tank. I just don't want to do it.
That's fair.
Though, like weapon types are also a big thing in this. Like, I did
Yeah.
not expect
Kinetic.
to have to be. Yeah, I did not expect to have to realize. Oh, you need this to defeat this person's shield, but you don't know if you need this thing until you're in the mission. And if you don't have it, then it's just
Yeah.
like, well, I'm screwed, kind of
Yeah.
deal there. So I'm not the biggest fan of that, just because you're then penalizing a player for not knowing.
Yeah.
So if
Yeah.
if someone's like,
That's
yeah,
from
so
software, though.
yeah,
Yeah.
They're just going to kill you a million times until you figure out what they want you to do.
Get good.
yeah.
Yeah.
Good indeed. But that's all I have to say. Armored Core 6, I like it. It may creep into my low top 10, or maybe it like I get an epiphany. It's like this is the greatest thing ever, or something like that. We'll see. But I've been
All it
liking
takes
it so far.
is you to beat the last boss and stand up and like throw your controller and you'd be like, "This is the best game I've ever played."
Yeah.
It'll
I was
take that.
I was doing that with this boss after I beat him.
That's fair. I did it with the tutorial boss, the very first one.
Yeah.
I stood up and I was like, "Yes!" And I went, "Oh wait, that was only the tutorial boss."
Oh yeah, that was only the tutorial. Oh, he had a nice entrance, by the way, when he came
Did.
in. That little
He
swoop.
did.
They had the camera angle right, and he
Yep.
just flies in all aggressively. Also,
Yeah,
side
it's
note
cool.
there.
Yep.
But I think that's going to be it on our talk for games this week. We're going to go into movies and TV shows where I didn't really watch much this week, but I do have my impressions on episode 1 and 2 of Ashoka. So
Same.
Okay.
I watched the Meg 2
Oh my
and
god.
and the Boogeyman, not to be confused with the old Boogeyman horror movie.
Interesting. Craig, I believe you talked about this either last week or the week before. I watched The Outlaws,
Okay.
and that was really all I watched this week. Baldur's Gate 3, man.
That's fair.
Baldur's Gate 3.
That's fair.
So what are we going to? You want to talk about Ahsoka?
Yeah, we can do that. First two episodes, I like where it's going. I like the tiebacks to the animated show.
Rebels. Yep.
Yep, Rebels. I liked the mural. Not to like spoil anything, but that mural was very nice. I think the actors picked fit, and I like the direction it's going. After, I know I'm going to get hate for it, but after Andor, which I did not like,
Yeah.
it's nice to go back to like this style of like, yeah, this is the Star Wars shows I like plenty of action, not too like overly complicated. It's like this is what's happening. We're gonna go get Admiral Thrawn, which is like the coolest villain ever, and then we're gonna have a bunch of lightsaber battles, and it's gonna be cool. I think it's great. I've been loving it so far.
Yeah, like one thing I am going to mention is I am going to be heavy biased toward this show. Just one, like Ahsoka is my favorite Jedi.
Mhm.
My friends know this. Like Ahsoka is my favorite, and on top of that too, and you said it too. Thrawn is by far one of the best villains. Like
Yep.
if you've ever read or listened to the Dark Trilogy Star Wars series on Audible or read those books, Thrawn, and I'll say it on this podcast, Thrawn has the potential to be one of the best villains in cinema history.
Yeah.
With it. Like if they do him half as well as the books did, he will be memorized. Like people will probably prefer him over the Emperor. Not that there's much to like about the
True.
Emperor. But he is so intimidating for so many different reasons than like Darth Vader was. So this series is for me. I love Thrawn. I love Ahsoka. That's the
Yeah.
two things are combined are coming to head here. I just hope that they do. I hope they do him well, just because that's one thing we haven't seen yet is him, and I am just super when he gets on screen. As long as I'll know within the first 5 minutes about whether or not they're doing justice to my boy Thrawn. So yeah, this is the one I like too. Like I
I
like
think the only thing that makes me nervous is them not giving him enough screen time.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, it's gonna be more on Rosario Dawson, which
Right.
Ahsoka is well liked, like in
Mhm.
the Star Wars thing. I I just hope that the people who did this read up on Thrawn. Like hopefully they read the Dark Trilogy series and they know what to do with Thrawn to make him, someone who's intimidating, but also like the smartest person in the galaxy.
I really thought we would see him in like a motion picture, like big film, not like tied to a TV show on Disney Plus. Not that that is a bad thing, but I always pictured Thrawn like reading those books, being like, yeah, this is like if they ever do another trilogy with Thrawn, man. And like I hope they get to really dig into him and maybe we get a couple seasons and that'll be good. I guess you could always make movies, but
Mm-hmm.
that it kind of scares me a little bit that they're just kind of confining him to this TV show for the time being.
Yeah. Maybe it's to see how he's well liked or hated
Yeah.
amongst, but anything at this point is better than General Snoke. And things
You're
like
not
What?
wrong.
No,
You're
sorry.
not wrong.
Yeah.
What a horrible villain.
Hmm.
But yeah, we only have 2 episodes, so we'll withhold our judgment for the rest of it. But I like how they do the Witches of Dathomir too. Like
Mm-hmm.
they're now adding stuff from, and you mentioned it too. Like if when you look at the Witches of Dathomir, we're now getting into like the Jedi Star Wars like Survivor and the Fallen Order and that kind of thing. So maybe we do see Cal in
That'd be great.
yeah,
Yeah.
in the movies or something like that next. We'll see.
I mean, Anakin's going to show up at some point, right?
Yeah, we do know Anakin is going to show up. Flashback
Yeah.
scenes or something. Probably.
Yes. Something.
It's always a good time when Anakin shows up.
He's been denying it for so long. That just means he's in there somewhere.
Mhm.
Millions of questions. He's always like, oh, I don't know anything about that show. Wink, wink.
Wink, wink.
Okay. So the Boogeyman, I forgot this movie came out in theaters. I think everybody else did. But I did watch it. And I think it's like a throwback horror movie. Reminds me of like a horror movie from the 2000s, early 2000s. Um, in that, like, I enjoyed it, but I don't think it's something that's going to be a regular watch for me every October, if that makes sense.
Gotcha.
It has its moments. I don't think it's doing anything we haven't seen before. It's like the Boogeyman, he's in the dark, so you have to use light to stay away from him. I've seen that in 10,000 horror movies. But it's acted well. I'm blanking on her name, but she's from Yellow Jackets, so like I saw her and I was like, yes. Um, yeah, I mean it's worth a watch once. Put it on your list, watch it. Craig, I don't think it's going to end up on your rotation
Yeah.
for your 31 days, but maybe you throw it on there this year
Yeah, I'm
for
thinking.
one of those days, and see what you think. But I didn't hate my time with it. If I would have saw it in theaters, I wouldn't have been upset, but I would have been like, oh, I don't need to buy that. I'm good. I'll pass. But then the Meg 2. This is one I was actually about to go see in theaters, and then I saw the reviews, and I went, I'll wait. Um, for those who don't know, my wife has an unnatural obsession with the first one. She loves it.
Okay.
She hates Jason Statham, but for whatever reason, she loves the Meg. Um, this one is I don't I don't know what happened. They switched directors, and we all are here for the sharks, and there's sharks at the beginning, and there's sharks at the end. But in the middle, it becomes a Jason Statham action movie for some reason. And like his character in the original Meg was not like an action star. I mean, he does punch a shark in the nose, but it's not like like the typical Jason Statham when you think of him like fighting 15 dudes and like sliding around and kicking.
Transporter.
Right. That was not the first Meg. Now in this one, for whatever reason, like you have the intro. They're like, oh, we have a baby Meg that we've raised from a pup, and he's a good one. And then we're going down into the lower depths to see if there's more Megs, and we're like, okay, I see where we're going here. And then the obviously the Megs are going to get out and come up to the surface, right? But then there's in this 2 hour movie, there's an hour of it in the middle where they go down there, their subs crash, and they're stuck at this underwater base, and it's just Jason Statham fighting dudes like he's the transporter again. And I'm like, what happened? I don't understand why they were like, well, we got to fill 2 hours, so Jason, go fight, go choreograph 15 fights. And I was watching it, and I looked at my wife, and where I was like, am I watching the new Expendables, or are we watching the Meg? What is
Yeah.
going on here? Like, I like him in the Expendables. I love the Expendables, but that's
Yeah.
not why I'm here. The ending is it's fine. It made me chuckle a couple times. You get your typical like people swimming in the water and the shark just comes up and eats them. Like that's always funny.
Yeah.
In those type of movies, and like I enjoyed that part of it, but that middle is just so odd. It's like it was slapped on because the movie wasn't long enough. So um, I don't even know if that I would recommend it as like a one-time watch. I guess if you liked the first one, maybe it's watch it when it's streaming on whatever it is, Peacock or Paramount or wherever it goes, HBO. But yeah, I'm glad I didn't see that in theaters because I would have been pissed for sure.
Yeah. Most stuff.
Yeah, that's all I watched.
Um, Outlaws. Craig
Yeah.
covered it. But I'll just give my thoughts on it. I liked it. I really, really liked it. There's something about a meets the parents kind of movie combined with, I don't know what you would call that, heat at
Yeah.
certain points. I mean, like a lesser version of Heat, that I enjoyed. I like the parents' dynamics, both of them. Essentially, two people. I like that idea. Two people getting married. Their parents are eccentric. In this particular movie, a set of parents are eccentric for a specific reason, and it's because they're like upscale bank robbers for like 20 years, and they owe like a gangster money, and that creates problems for the what is going to be the newlywed couple. Pierce Brosnan, I can honestly say I'm not normally a fan of outside of Mrs. Doubtfire, and maybe
James Bond.
even then
What?
he's not
Okay.
he's nowhere near my favorite Bond. He's a little
Okay.
bit he's nowhere near. But I liked him in this movie. I know he probably got something for that accent that he played because it was like kind of like what an Irish accent, Scottish accent, something like that. I liked him in this movie a lot. He played a pretty good character there. And Adam Devine,
I love that guy.
that guy's a funny guy, man.
Yeah.
He's a very, very funny guy.
He is.
And for me, I'm a person who it's Workaholics is not my favorite show, but I like Workaholics. It's not my top 2 or 3 if I were to rewatch something. But I like those guys a lot, and their humor's funny. So that's where I saw a lot of it. Del Rey, is that the guy Del Rey who plays
I think so. Yeah.
who plays somebody's friend in like every comedic movie now? Was
Every
also
movie.
every movie. He's funny as well. So there was a lot of good comedy in it. The action scenes were fine, and it was actually very, in certain parts, believable. Other parts, no, but like certain parts, believable as well. So it's a good all around comedy. I recommend it to anybody really. If you just need a break, if you're like my wife and I, who are watching or going to be watching a crap ton of scary movies, and you need
Yep.
something to break it up, I would watch it. It's definitely a good 2023. Won't be my top 5, but if we were doing specifically comedies, maybe for the
Yeah.
year.
Yeah. Yeah. Everybody's gearing up for those horror movies. I think once September hits, that's fair game, right?
Yeah, we're doing our list, I think, tonight or tomorrow.
Okay.
And then I think we have enough to start mid-September. I don't even think we're waiting for October, man.
There you go.
Might add some new ones. We'll add
How about you, Barry? How many are you gonna
How
do?
does that make any sense? How do you start Scary Movie October in September?
Well,
When
it's
Doesn't
you
make
not just
sense.
October. It's like pre-gaming.
Yeah. And for people who like scary movies, we've purposefully been not watching many of them for the last
I
2 to
can't
3
do that.
months to save it. What I think we're gonna do is we're gonna put some of like the new ones, like Boogeyman would be a
Yeah.
September one because we don't know if we're gonna like it or not. You know,
Talk to me. That
Talk
comes
to
out in
me, depending
October.
on. Yeah, exactly. Talk to me. We're gonna throw on there.
Hmm.
Is that new Exorcist movie coming out?
Which one?
The one with like the two
Oh,
ladies, the two
that comes out,
girls.
I think, in October in theaters.
Yeah. So I don't know.
I'll meet you there for that one.
Yeah,
Barry will be right behind me.
Barry. Yeah,
I am
Barry will be
nowhere near
first
that
in the
movie.
theater for that one.
Come on.
I'm wearing blinders. I'm gonna have like
Okay.
shades over my glasses. I'm gonna have noise canceling headphones. Like I'll sit there, but you're gonna have to Weekend and Bernie's me out of there.
Yeah. Oh man.
But we'll go ahead and end the podcast there. I want to thank everybody for listening. If you did like it, please make sure to like it or review it on your podcast listening platform of choice. And make sure to share it if you think somebody you know would like us. On YouTube, I just want to thank for all the support on that. Please make sure to like and subscribe, comment, tell us how Armored Core is the best game ever, or that what we missed from Gamescon. And maybe you want to know what our thoughts on other Gamescon stuff we didn't talk about. More than willing to elaborate. So again, thank you guys for listening and watching, and we'll see you guys next time. Bye.
Bye, guys.